Part 14. He asked permission to stay, and the master blacksmith nodded a hearty consent without honoring him with a single word. The tramp did not say anything either, because his goal was to get the shelter. He got, that's all. He need not want anything more. He had not come there to talk, but only to warm himself and sleep. In those days, now the author tells what the position of Ramsjo ironworks that time. In those days, the Ramsjo iron mill was owned by a very prominent ironmaster, whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. He was an ambitious one. He took hold over the factory, and his aim was to make it a good brand so that they can export it. He wanted many shipments. So in those days, the Ramsjo iron mill was owned by a very prominent ironmaster whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible. And at this very moment, he came into the forge on one of his nightly rounds of inspection. He came there. Now he is something different than his master blacksmith. He was not haughty enough to look down upon the common vagabond or tramp-like people. He had interest in them, especially who else takes shelter in his iron mill. Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. Ragamuffin, that means the vagabond. He was in his rags because he had no enough money to buy new clothes. So he was with his torn apparel. He was lying down nearby the furnace, and the warmth of the furnace made a smoke surrounding him. Why? Because while Peddler was in the jungle, we found that he was quite drenched by snow. Now he was feeling very cold. That's why he resorted some help. He came out from the jungle and he got this Ramsjo ironworks and he got shelter in it. He was lying near the furnace, and the heat from the furnace was coming and it was drying his body. So as the cloth was wet, so with the heat the smoke come out and that wet cloth becoming drier. So the ironmaster did not follow the example of the blacksmiths, who had hardly deigned to look at the stranger. He was not so haughty. He was not so haughty. He noticed that a man is lying near the furnace. He is sleeping, but he could not see the face, because on his face there was the hat. He walked close up to him, looked him over very carefully, then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face.